The ongoing saga of what's going to happen with the Minnesota Vikings and star running back Dalvin Cook continues to just drag on. Where it's like they should have ended The Office after Michael left, but no, they just decided to just keep it going. Just keep it dragging on because why not? Why not? So all the drama, what's happened with Dalvin, are the Vikings going to keep him, which could make sense? Are the Vikings going to trade him, which could make sense? Are the Vikings going to just straight up cut him, which makes less sense, but also it's an option on the table? Well, it's starting to leak out into the media. So as we say with all things, whenever there's contract or trade negotiations, when things are going well, things are quiet. But once things are going poorly, that's when you start hearing the leaks. And that's where you heard a couple leaks about Dalvin being potentially moved during the draft. And now Adam Schefter, ESPN, is openly talking about how the Vikings could be moving on from Dalvin Cook. This is what he said last Friday, quote, "You asked whether Kirk Cousins will be there after this season, and a more timely question is, will Dalvin Cook be there at all this season? Because there's been speculation throughout the offseason about whether or not he will be traded, whether he will be released, and there has still not been an answer to that question when he's got 3 years remaining on his contract at this time, and the team has some salary cap issues. So that continues to be a question about whether or not Dalvin Cook will even be in Minnesota this season." And Adam Schefter has, of course, done some work, on behalf of Dalvin and his agent before. When Dalvin had that incident back in 2001, Schefter basically just cut and pasted an agent statement. That's exactly what he did. So obviously, this statement is coming straight from Dalvin's camp, and even the language that it's included here, like this is not Schefter editorializing. This is Schefter literally being used as a sock puppet. It's like, hey, get this information out there, make it a talking point so we can get something moving. But the whole talk, whether he'll be traded, whether he'll be released, whether he's got 3 years remaining on his contract, the Vikings have salary cap issues, like those are straight from the agent's handbook of, hey, let my client get traded to a new team and get a new contract, or let him be cut so we can pick a new team and they can get a new contract before OTAs and before mandatory minicamp, so they can get up to speed before training camp. So that's where we are right now. And Schefter, openly talking about this, and it's gone from fan speculation, connecting the dots now to rumors and speculation, to Schefter basically just straight up saying, hey, something needs to happen with Dalvin. And it does all come back down to the contract. He's due $10.4 million this year. He's heading into year 3 of the 5-year, $63 million extension that Spielman gave him a couple years ago. Kwesi has been cleaning up bit of a mess of some of the not so great veteran contracts that Spielman doled out. But Dalvin is slated to be the third highest paid running back in the league this year. He's got a $14.1 million cap hit, and like I said, the agent wants him to hit the market, either get traded or allowed to become a free agent so they can get things going, so they can get that contract locked down before the long summer break. Because if Dalvin is still on the Vikings and is still in limbo as you hit that 6-week break from mid-June to late July before training camps open, his future really is up in the air, because if the Vikings cut him loose at any point during training camp or before the season, that means that he's probably not going to give a lucrative contract, as well as he'll be behind the 8 ball learning the offense of a new team. Also, the fact that the new CBA basically prohibits players from holding out, it's going to be a little bit rough. That's why Dalvin right now is doing the only thing he can do, is he's withholding his services. He's not showing up to voluntary off-season workouts. And as we get into third phase of OTAs and into mandatory minicamp, something's going to have to give at this point. And if the Vikings did trade Dalvin post June 1st, which would be likely in this scenario if they did trade him, it would be $11 million in freed up cap space, $3.1 million dead, and also taking a little bit on the chin in 2024. And then if they cut him, which also is a possibility, since only $2 million of his 10.4 is fully guaranteed, the Vikings would save $9 million with $5.1 million dead. but also remains to be seen if he has offset language if and when he inked up with another team. So remains to be seen there. And like I said, this is more of a contract thing. This is more of a salary cap issue versus production because, I mean, Dalvin, 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons, respect, 4 straight Pro Bowl seasons, and the Vikings' rededication to the run game, adding Josh Oliver, some continuity up front with the offensive line. Maybe he can rebound from having his worst yards per carry at 4.4 last season. But the Vikings, it's very clear that Kwesi has hedged his bet in this spot. Like the Vikings obviously will be fine with Dalvin. The Vikings obviously would be fine without Dalvin because they re-signed Alexander Madison to a 2-year deal. They brought in DeWayne McBride, the FBS rushing champ, with a 7th-round pick, and he got King Kene, Ty Chandler. Even without Dalvin, that's a really damn good running back room. So I think that all options are on the table, and Kwesi has given the Vikings flexibility because sure, would they like Dalvin back? Yes. Preferably at a lower rate? Yes. But also they don't need him. And if they can get a 2024 day 3 selection for him, sure. Or would they just cut him? Would they just straight up cut him to save that $9 million in cap space? I think that's certainly a possibility as well. But the fact that it's starting to bleed into the mainstream, and then Schefter's out on SportsCenter literally pontificating about the future of Dalvin, who's got 3 years left on his contract, that's when you know that stuff is happening. So I don't know. Like either way, I do expect it to be a post June 1st designation if he's cut or traded. But yeah, it feels like things are starting to come to a head. I think there's going to be more tension. I think that there's going to be more leaks to the media. I think there's going to be more shenanigans on Instagram and social media. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. But your thoughts are thoughts. Adam Schefter questions Dalvin Cook's future with the Minnesota Vikings. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts and his thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.